Hello and welcome to Wildlife Around Us. I hope all of you are in good health. Well, in my last video, I said that today in this video I will be talking about focusing in macro photography. But then I realized that it will be very hard for you to understand the basics of focusing without understanding the concept of depth of field or DOF. So today I will be discussing about the concept of depth of field or DOF in details. Now let's assume that there is a subject, let's say an insect, which we want to photograph. Now the area between these two lines where basically the insect lies is our area of interest. We call it a field. We want the subject within these two lines or within this field should be in focus. So the distance between these two lines we call depth. So depth of this field is called the depth of field. In other way, depth of field can be described as the distance between the minimum and the maximum point in a frame where the image is acceptably sharp or acceptably in focus. Now the area which is in focus and the area which is out of focus, we don't have a sharp boundary between these two. So there is a gradual change of the area which is in focus to out of focus. Now let us come into the concept of the deep or the wide depth of field and the shallow depth of field. Now let us assume that there are two leaves on both sides of the insect. If we want a deeper depth of field, we will include the two leaves in focus, and if we want a shallower depth of field, we will be focusing on a certain portion of the insect. Now let's see what happens when we photograph a subject. When my camera is perfectly focused onto that insect, then light from a point of that insect will get refocused into my sensor via the lens. Well, it doesn't mean that light from only one point is getting refocused into my sensor. Basically, light from innumerable points that lie on that same plane is getting refocused back into my sensor via the lens. Now if we put an arrow, we will see that it is going out of focus, then it comes in focus, and then it is again going out of focus. Now if we look close into the area between the lines where the insect lies or where we are interested in, we can better understand the differences between a shallow and a deep depth of field. Now let us assume a normal standard situation with a moderate depth of field where we can see these two lines are emitting from a point and there is a moderate depth of field. Now if we can squeeze these two lines, it looks something like this. Now you can see the area in focus which was between those two lines is now squeezed out. What that means, we are getting a deeper depth of field. Then again we come back to the normal standard position and then pull the two lines in the opposite direction. What will happen? The area between the two lines will get squeezed in. Now we get a shallower depth of field. Now it's time we have to know how to control this squeezing out or squeezing in of the area in focus, or in other words, how to control the shallower depth of field and a deeper depth of field. Well, when we photograph a subject, what we have in our hand? The subject, the lens and the camera. These are the three basic things that we need to photograph a subject. So by changing the relative distances between these three things and by varying some technical aspects, we will see how to control the depth of field. There are basically three methods by which we can do this. Let's come to the first method. In this method, we will keep the position of the subject as it is. What we will do is change the position of the camera with respect to the subject. In the first case, we keep the camera at a middle position and we get a nice, decent, moderate depth of field. Then we will move the camera at a distance from the subject. Now we see the light here is spreading out slowly, or the area in focus is getting squeezed out. Hence, we are getting quite a good depth of field or a wide depth of field. In the third case, we are bringing the camera much closer to the subject. Now the light is getting out much faster and hitting the lens. What is happening? The area in the focus is squeezed in, or in other words, we are getting a shallow depth of field. So this is the first method, where the distance of the camera with respect to the subject is determining the depth of field, where if we move the camera further away from the subject, we are getting a deeper depth of field, and if we are moving the camera much closer to the subject, we are getting a shallower depth of field. Now let us take a look at the second method. But before proceeding into the details of this method, I have to say a term which is called the focal length. What is a focal length? The focal length is basically the length between the lens and the point where the light is getting refocused, which is basically the sensor or the film. You must have heard about the millimeter terms in the lenses, like the 1855mm lens, 50mm lens, 55 to 50mm lens, or the longer telephoto lenses like 300, 400 and so on. What these millimeters basically means is that for a particular lens, say 50mm lens, the distance between the lens and the sensor, the lens where the light is getting refracted and where it is getting refocused, is 50mm for that particular lens. Okay, so I think that you have understand the concept of focal length. So coming back to the depth of field, so in this method we will keep the camera and the subject in its position, fixed in its position, and we will see that how changing the focal length only can control the depth of field. So now again there is a normal situation where we have, say, a standard lens with a 50mm focal length. So with a 50mm focal length we are getting a decent good depth of field. Then we are using a lens with a much wider focal length, say 10mm. Now see, the area in focus is getting squeezed outwards, or we are getting a much wider or bigger depth of field. Then we are changing the lens from a wider focal length to a much longer focal length, say 200mm. Now what happens? The area in focus is getting squeezed inwards, or we are getting a shallower depth of field. So this is the second method, where using a shorter focal length will give you a wider depth of field, and using a longer focal length will give you a shallower depth of field. Okay, now come into the third method and the final method of controlling the depth of field. Here we will keep the subject, the camera and the lens, all the three aspects in its same constant position. But before proceeding into the details of this method, we will look into a mechanical part of a lens, which is the aperture. Aperture can be defined as a hole or an opening in the lens which allows the light to enter and fall into the sensor. We can control the size of the opening to control the amount of light entering the camera. Camera's aperture is measured in terms of f-stops or f-number, like f2.8, f5.6, f6.3 or f22 and so on. Now there is an inverse relationship between this number or the f-stop or f-number and the size of the opening or the amount of light which is entering the camera, which means f2 is a very large aperture and will allow lots of light to enter the camera. On the other hand, f22 or more is a very small or tiny aperture and will allow a very little amount of light to enter the camera. This is a chart which describes the relation between the f-stop value or the aperture value and the size of the opening, along with the amount of light it allows to enter the camera. Well, now we will see how this aperture can also control the depth of field. Well, in the first case we have a standard aperture value, let's say f10, and we get a decent good amount of depth of field. In the second case we are increasing the f-stop value from f10 to say f22. Now the aperture size is small. Now you can see what happens is that light from the subject is forced to enter the camera through that small hole only. That ultimately squeezes the area which is in focus outwards. Thus we are getting a much wider depth of field. Okay, then we change the aperture value from f22 to let's say f4. Now we are getting much larger opening and light from the subject is allowed to enter through a much larger hole. What it does, it squeezes the area of the focus inwards, or in other words, we are getting a more shallow depth of field. So what we can see is that using a large f-stop or small aperture, we are getting a wider depth of field, and by using a small f-stop or large aperture, we are getting a shallower depth of field. So these are the three methods by which you can control the depth of field. So finally we can summarize the whole thing. Let's keep a wide and a shallow depth of field on one side and the three parameters on the other side. Now if we want a wide depth of field or deep depth of field, we will keep the camera far from the subject, we will use a lens of a wider focal length, and we use a large f-stop number or a small aperture opening. On the contrary, if we want a shallower depth of field, we will keep the camera close to the subject, we will use a longer focal length, and we will use a small f-stop value or a larger aperture. So this is all about the concept of depth of field. I hope I have discussed as easily as I can to make you understand. If you still have any further questions, please feel free to write in the comment section below and we'll definitely get back to you. Macro photography in particular, we deal with subjects being very close to the camera. We also use a longer focal length like 90 mm or 100 mm and so on. So naturally the depth of field becomes very thin and focusing becomes very difficult. There are some ways to tackle this problem and get good sharp images in macro photography, which I will be discussing in my next video, which is about focusing in macro photography. So this is all about today's session. I hope you have liked it. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell icon to get regular notification of my contents. See you next time. Bye for now.